Hello, my name is L. Andrew Cooper, and I am the owner and publisher at Horrific Scribblings, and I'm also editing the forthcoming anthology Extremely Weird Splatter, a group of stories that fuse weird horror with extreme horror and splatterpunk. We've put together a great list of authors and stories, and you can read about those authors and stories on our Indiegogo page, and you still have a chance to get some great rewards for backing the project. So I hope you will have a look at our site there. Since we've been and putting this book together, we've been creating a series about weird horror and extreme horror in splatterpunk. I started with a video called Extremely Weird Splatter, reconnecting weird horror with extreme and splatterpunk to show how there's a natural connection there historically. Mostly that video was a history of the weird in fiction in the 19th and the early 20th century, and that video points to how major ideas that developed in weird fiction relate to splatter fiction. And then the assistant editor of Extremely Weird Splatter, H.J. Dutton, followed up with a video called Weird Horror, Definition and Related Terms to help clarify weird horror and especially the new weird. And then I followed up with two more splatter focused pieces, a blog article called Splatterpunk Desaad and the Infinite Set Piece. And then I did a video called Splattering the Normal, Grinding Personal and Historical Transgressions in Extremely Weird Splatter. H.J. Dutton followed up again with a video asking a very good question. Can quiet horror and extreme horror be combined? And I'll go ahead and spoil it a little bit. His answer is yes, but you'll have to watch the video to find out how he comes up with that yes answer. So today I am continuing, perhaps even finishing that series of content, but by leaving the quiet behind and talking about gore. Gore is what people think of when they think of extreme horror and splatterpunk fiction. And a lot of people, even extreme fiction writers, sometimes talk about gore or using gore in horror fiction as something they only do when it's necessary for the plot. Gore is sort of like a dirty little thing that you have to hold your nose when you write it. Fuck that. Fuck that. Gore is a virtue. Gore is valuable in itself. And so this video is about the glory of gore, the grandeur of the gruesome. And I can come at this from a couple of different directions, but I wrote about Charles Baudelaire and the beauty of rot recently in the introduction to the Horrific Scribes exhibit 6 that was called Springtime Rot. So I'm coming at the goodness of grossness in this video from a different direction. And I want to start by thinking about body horror. Body horror has existed for a very, very long time, but the term body horror, as we throw it around pretty casually today, is relatively new. For me, body horror was initially a term I associated with a scholar and thinker named Linda Williams, who talks about body genres in film. And she talks about 3 genres in particular that are constructed to make your body do things, to make your body excrete in different ways. She talks about the weepy or melodramas that make you cry, so to make the tears come out. She talks about pornography, movies that make you come, that make your juices come out in sexual ways. And then she talks about horror movies that make you vomit. And so these are 3 types of film that are body genres. And so horror is a body genre. And so when I thought body horror, I thought particularly of the types of horror that are most likely to make you puke, the gory stuff. And it makes me think of, say, Herschel Gordon Lewis's films like Blood Feast, for example. And it was marketed with vomit bags. They gave away vomit bags when you were going into the theater because you were going to need that. And that was a selling point. This film was supposed to make you want to vomit. And so people went for that kind of bodily horror experience. But bodily horrors, things made to turn your stomach, is a tradition that goes back, of course, from before Blood Feast, back to the circuses, back to the freak shows, the spook shows, to even earlier cinema. There's this tradition of one-upmanship, seeing how much grossness they can put up with, how courageous they are. Competition to survive the grossness also leads to competition to produce the grossness. There is a grossness competition that goes back through these traditions, from the circus to the freak show to the spook show to early movies, to the Herschel Gordon movies, and then to later gory films, and like the Saw movies, where each one tries to outdo the one before with more and more extravagant displays of bodies being torn to pieces. And the gross out contest is a feature in author conventions. StokerCon has, or at least used to have, gross out competitions. KillerCon, where they have the Splatterpunk Awards, has a gross out competition. And they also do stuff with drinking hot pepper sauce, which is another way of turning the stomach. So there are all kinds of bodily features involved with horror and splatter fiction in particular. It's like they're asking this question: who can exert the most power over your body by using gore? And so the power of this fiction is that it is a very physical kind of fiction. And so it's about media and power over your body's revulsion reactions. It's not just about moral disgust. Oh, how dare they show the insides of the body on the outside. It's visceral, uncontrollable disgust, losing control of your body as a result of being exposed to print and film and video game and other types of media, from guts on the page or the screen to your guts. There is a gut connection that gory media can create. Thing, but you don't have to get into deep philosophical stuff to think about how reading a book or watching a movie interacts with your brain in a way that is not controlled by thought. Your pulse races when you're encountering gore on the page. Your heart rate goes up. Your muscles get tense. Again, you might feel nausea. It is, again, a physical experience, and it can be intellectual too, but it engages your body in ways that few other things can. And that kind of power deserves respect, not condemnation. And so thinking about that type of bodily impact of body horror, together with the more current sense of horror of the body that involves not just mutilation, but mutation and degradation and undesirable transformation, we can see how these things can work together. Reading about how bodies transform in horrible ways can make our bodies react in horrible ways. And the best writers of what we call body horror today managed to do that. Ryan Harding's work does that. Poppy Z. Bright's Exquisite Corpse did that when it came out in 1996. It blazed a trail for generations of authors to follow, creating explosions of guts on the page to make both intellectual and physical changes in the bodies that read the explosions of guts on the page. So gore shows us that we're mutable, malleable flesh. It shows us that we're meat. We're nothing more than meat. As I've said before, we're nothing but splatter on the wall. And that brings us back to a concept I hit on again and again and again. It brings us into confrontation with the void. We're back at the void, people. And the confrontation with gore in splatter fiction is a physical as well as intellectual confrontation with the void. And that is one of the things that makes it so special. So if anything is meaningful in this big empty world, it's meaninglessness. You might laugh when you confront the void. You might scream when you confront the void, but either way, you should try to enjoy it. There's really no reason not to. So read some gory fiction, read Extremely Weird Splatter when it comes out, and have a gory day.